And this is where we are. Decades ago, no warning. Now here we are. Millions of people had early warning that this was coming, and very likely they were able to take action to be in the safest place possible. This is a new era that we're working in, and it comes right to your phone.
Yep, Jordan.
Yeah. And we've been tracking, updates on X all day through our channels here at ABC 10. Earlier I talked about how BART service was suspended through the Transbay Tube. Now BART has posted on X they're recovering from an earlier problem. They've resumed normal train service now, but please expect system-wide major delays. So that will definitely be between BART, between our local freeways that I've been seeing a lot of congestion on between San Francisco and the Oakland area. Definitely we'll see those impacts later throughout today as those things start to clear out.
And I know that we've got our Gabriel Porras coming up too, but I do want to say real fast that we just had another 5.0 earthquake in the same spot as the 7.0.
Yeah,
so this is a seismically active area today.
Yeah.
That does not mean we're going to see a tsunami from one of these smaller aftershocks, but you may still feel shaking over the next several hours.
And we've learned a lot about as this has unfolded. So maybe the threat to our local area is not there, but we still don't know what's happened so far in Eureka. There very possibly could have been a tsunami, but only in that local area. We simply don't know what the damage is and exactly what has happened so far in that area. And that's something we're all hoping is panned out the way that this tsunami has, which is canceled in our area. But it was 7.0 right off the coast. That's never a good thing.
And shallow, as
Very
Brendan,
shallow.
as you mentioned right off the bat, an extremely shallow area there, and that was, and this is big news. I'm following what's going on in Portland too. I mean, their TV stations are all over this, just like we are, and that's substantially north of Eureka. But and then our warning was all the way down to the Santa Cruz area.
Yep.
Now, we all live here. We know earthquakes are certainly. I've covered this so many times. I think we have 700 earthquakes a month in California. Most are 2.0 or less. But obviously, when you get something barking at you like this, like a 7.0, immediately there's probably going to be damage. And obviously, the tsunami thing is the first thing you think about once you look around and go, okay, is my business okay?
Right.
All right. And then you got to be sweating this coming your way.
And I think, to your point, while a lot of us are familiar with earthquakes here, maybe we haven't all been part of a larger earthquake, but I think we've all maybe felt a minor one, or we at least know that they can happen, especially up here. But tsunami's not necessarily something that immediately jumps to mind, I think, for a lot of folks. You see the signs out in the Bay Area, out along the North Coast, tsunami evacuation route, center, whatever it may be.
There's Rob. Once it got the all clear,
All clear to surf,
there's
and we're
Rob.
back in the water.
He jumped out of the back of his van. He already had the wax on the board, and you were ready to go.
I got to tell you, as a surfer at heart, once we get the all clear, we're back in the water.
Yeah,
especially you can see some of the video that we've been showing and some of the live cameras. The surf is there, created from the wind. These waves have been here before and after this, but certainly that gentleman has.
I suspect he's been out there anyway.
Yeah.
I'm suspecting he didn't know any of this what was going on here, because I doubt he'd get out there that fast.
That looks like Ocean Beach.
That does look like Ocean Beach, yeah. And that was one of the places we were saying you want. I mean, look how the waves just ride up Ocean Beach. You see the seawall back there. That's somewhere at the minimum you'd want to be past the seawall in a tsunami warning like this. But just to finish that thought, we do need to be aware of these tsunami warnings because they can happen. You get a quake right off the coast like this one, and we're talking about a tsunami warning. This one didn't cause any tsunami waves, but the next one might. So just because we all made it A-OK out of this one, if we get another shake alert tomorrow for another 7.0 earthquake and a tsunami warning go with it, we got to do it all over again and be ready to evacuate.
There's very little traffic there. Obviously, we saw the law enforcement officer. I don't know if they've opened up that road yet, but it looked like that was a road he was patrolling that you better not be on this road right now.
Yeah, and we are getting some new sound in here. This is from somebody in Modesto who actually felt the earthquake. Take a listen to this.
I was standing in the kitchen looking out back, and I see all this wave action in the pool, which is, there's nobody in the pool. And
You heard that there, like what we were seeing with the
back to the videos that we've seen.
that we've been getting, and
I'd
thank
love
you
to
to
hear
everyone,
more
by
from
the
him.
way. Yeah, that's been sending in videos. We've been getting them in all morning long, so trying to get those on here for you.
Quickly, if we could go back, there's some of the video. This was shot in Sacramento County of the pool sloshing around. The land moves, the water's slow to react, but as the concrete moves up against the water, which is obviously more flexible, it's going to create some waves. So a lot of people wondering, why is my pool doing this? Well, it was from a 7.0 earthquake hundreds of miles away. And I just want to point out, if we can go back to the map of where this occurred, when we think of California earthquakes, a lot of people will think of the San Andreas Fault. Very active, very well-known, long history there, a very serious concern. The last big one on that one was, of course, Loma Prieta, which happened during as they were just about to have the Oakland A's face the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, yeah.
So we all remember that. That's the San Francisco fault line system. Now, we also have other very active faults. This is in far northern California. This is near the Cascadia subduction zone. This is a different seismic area that's completely unrelated to the San Andreas Fault. It's been very active in years past, and people in the Pacific Northwest, Portland and Seattle, are very concerned. They're completely unprepared compared to California for something like that. And they've been predicting for a long time that area could be at risk for a major earthquake. And then there's one more very active area in California where the San Andreas splits and you go up the Owens Valley through Mammoth and then through Tahoe and then up through Oregon. This is also another area in California that has been very active and also could see an earthquake as well.
And these subduction zones basically is when two of the tectonic plates, one of them is like riding underneath the other one. And so what can happen with these is you get a slip of that plate where maybe it slips out from underneath or the one on top kind of slips over it. What that can do is push a bunch of water very quickly up. In that situation, hello, welcome to the desk now. But as that earthquake pushes that water up, that can also fire off a tsunami as well. And so that's why you got to take every single one of these seriously.
So now we're going to go ahead and get to our Gabriel Porras. He is in Modesto right now, talking to somebody who likely felt this earthquake. So let's go ahead and get over to Gabriel Porras. He is in Sacramento, not Modesto. Gabe?
That's right, here in downtown Sacramento. It's been hit and miss here so far. A lot of people saying that they felt minor shaking. Some people didn't feel it at all, just saw the alert on their phone. I want to bring in Steven here. You were downtown when this earthquake first happened. What did you feel and what was that moment like?
So I was at work on the 6th floor of the new Natural Resources building. We just kind of saw our monitor shaking, and then we kind of stood up and just kind of stood still for a second. And it's like you feel like you're kind of rotating in a circle almost in these new buildings because of the dampeners, but you could just stand still and just like kind of feel yourself wobbling around. It wasn't anything too intense. Like if you were on the ground level in a regular house, you can like really like hear things shaking and feel things shaking, but we didn't have that in our building. But some people did feel it maybe more than others, and they felt the need to evacuate too. So there was that. So not everybody felt really safe. But that was my experience. And then looking around downtown where there's new construction, you see the construction workers halting work and putting safety as a high priority. So that's good to see.
Definitely. So some people were self-evacuating from your building and maybe neighboring buildings?
Absolutely, yeah. There seems to be a lot of commotion on the ground level when we look down the windows. Yeah.
And you mentioned you're not new to California, but somewhat new to this feeling, being in the building when this type of a quake happens.
Right, yeah, I've been in California my whole life, and I've been at home when earthquakes have hit, and you can, like I said, you can just like see the bookshelves moving and other things. But in this tall building, and luckily it's a new building too, so there wasn't a lot of movement going on. Maybe in the older buildings they probably feel a lot more, I would bet, where they haven't retrofitted yet. But my experience is like you can really feel the waviness the higher up you are, but that's probably because if you think about you're on a fulcrum and up higher and it's moving more.
Sure, definitely. And I know you were mentioning earlier, or we were talking about earlier about the different alerts that were going out. Did you get any of those earthquake alerts, anything that sent to your phone?
Yes, I did get an earthquake alert, and that's when I saw, I was like, oh yeah, we are in the, I guess not impact zone, but where you can feel the aftershocks. We were in that zone. So I was like, okay, and then it said the aftershocks were like hitting us at maybe a 4.0 or something, where up there it's at a 7, so it's like it's still hitting us pretty good down here.
An unusual day at work, to say the least, it sounds like.
Yeah, very unusual, a little entertaining, kind of, break up the monotony of work, so it's kind of fun to have that, but, a little concerning when you see people running out the building.
Definitely. Well, glad you guys are all safe. I'll let you get back to your lunch break now. But again, as you heard there, some people felt it, some didn't. We're going to try to get some more opinions, some more thoughts on what people felt out here. For now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Gabriel, thank you so much. And I mean, obviously, you don't think that people, are going to be feeling it to the extent that, we're hearing, Chico, Yuba City, we're hearing from, and gentlemen down in the Stockton Modesto area, people's pools overlapping in and around the Sacramento area. So obviously, you know, it's a pretty big deal to people
Yes.
around
Yeah.
here, even though we're pretty far away from where this happened, which was, again, to reset, happened about 10:44 this morning, just off the coast of Eureka, west of Ferndale. So it was out in the ocean. How far out was it?
A decent ways, at least about 50 miles or so
Yeah, that's
offshore.
not terribly far off.
But it was also very shallow, which lends itself to tsunamis, but also
Mm-hmm.
to feeling it a good distance away.
Okay, we're going to get new video in from Eureka, so this gets as close as possible as we can, and this is what they experienced there.
All right, obviously, this is what we've been hearing and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we've been seeing. Again, even from Yuba City. Bill Cantrell sent us in a video from Yuba City where it was shaking like that there.
Yep.
And you could see Eureka, which is much closer to where the action was.
Yeah, and we heard from the man in Modesto who said his pool was,
Pool
you know,
shaking, yeah.
sloshing back and forth. And then we've been getting emails from people. This email about an earthquake felt in Woodland that we're trying to get video from too as well. So the shades were rocking, she said. So yeah, that was in the Woodland area.
And that Eureka video, thanks to Amber for sending that in.
Yeah.
And this was, I believe, Land Park. Yes, that's correct.
Yep.
This is the Park Terrace Swim and
Yep.
Tennis Club, which is just off of Seamus, the Fruit Ridge area, just off I-5 and Seamus, actually. So obviously, it looks like Megan Boss is pointing out where the water came over. And as I mentioned before, this water, it doesn't come to the top of the pool. It's not one of those infinity pools. This water would have to come up several inches to get over into the deck area, which apparently it did. She's pointing out where it was shaking. So it was enough for her to come out of the office
Right.
and roll video for us. And so it's been an issue in and around Sacramento, Modesto, Stockton.
But think about it like this too, as we're going to take a look at this video from Lodi.
Lodi.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and it's a very similar story. Think about it like this: if you have a glass of water, it's not filled to the top, and you kind of grab the glass by the bottom and shake it a little, the water is going to move around very easily. It may spill over the top depending on how hard you shake it. But say, I don't know, you've got a sandwich on a plate. The sandwich isn't liquid. Right now it does have several layers to it. And you shake the plate and you're going to see the sandwich move, but it's unlikely the sandwich is going to fall off the plate. It's unlikely that, you know, pieces of that sandwich, maybe the top piece of bread is going to fall off because it's more solid, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about. Whereas the concrete, the earth, the dirt, that's a lot more solid. In order for that to really move in a violent manner, you need a very powerful earthquake, which this indeed was, but because it was so far off the coast, by the time it got somewhere like Lodi, it did not feel as strong. But the water moved so much easier than the surrounding dirt and concrete and whatnot, which is why we see some of these things. Again, example here from Chico.
This is really coming over. I mean, I thank you, Linda, for sending this in. And as we speculated earlier, I mean, Linda looks like she was in the house, and this, whatever's going on in her pool, which is substantial at the time, was likely, you know, I'm guessing 15, 20, 30 seconds after she was like, whoa. And this is coming over the top of her pool.
You know, a 7.0 anywhere close to anywhere is never a good thing, and you are really hoping that it's not as bad as you think. Now, as we're looking at video, pool sloshing out, water sloshing out, that's not damage. As we saw some video from Eureka, we did not see damage just from that one video. We don't know the whole story there, but it's just a reminder that we live in earthquake country. Let's say we take that earthquake, same magnitude, and put it in land or a populated area. You know, the Loma Prieta quake was not as strong as what we just saw, but you can remember all of the destruction and everything that happened. Now, since then, there's been all sorts of earthquake retrofitting, all sorts of programs, all sorts of alerts and awareness. We now get these alerts directly on our phone. In fact, before we can feel the earth shaking, in this case, if you're far away. So we've come a long way, but certainly when these things happen, it can go bad in a hurry. And if we're only seeing lights shaking around, this is what, in a worst case scenario, that could happen. This is much preferable to see.
Yeah, here's some video from Yuba City as well. You can see those lights moving back and forth here. We've seen, you know, those videos of light fixtures moving. We've seen pools sloshing. This is also in Yuba City as well. Another pool video here just kind of showing what's happening there in terms of the pool water moving around in there. And we heard earlier from a gentleman in Modesto who said that he experienced something similar. So it's incredible how widespread too these impacts really are.
And just as an example, like even though these earthquakes happen a fair distance away, I mean they're not, you know, really far, but they are fairly, it takes some time to drive from here to Eureka.
Right.
These big earthquakes can travel very quickly across California. If you took the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, and if that were to happen same spot today, that would be like a 4 or 5 here in Sacramento. So we would definitely feel that. There could be some minor damage here. So that just gives you an idea. Is when you get a really strong earthquake, even a ways off the coast, we can definitely feel it, even in the valley.
Okay, this is the shot of Pacifica. Going back to the very beginning, the earliest timetable that we had of this was from the Tsunami Warning Center, saying that the initial wave of a tsunami would be in the San Francisco Bay Area by 12:10.
Yeah.
It is now 12:15. Pacifica is south of San Francisco by a little bit, and what we're not seeing is the huge water column lifting up, waves coming over the boardwalk there, anywhere close to the road or anything like that. If you have not been aware or not been checking in since the alert came in on some people's phones, the official tsunami warning has been canceled.
That's right.
So we are not expecting any impacts from this directly, although you saw a lot of indirect impacts with all the video that was shown.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is not something that, all of a sudden we would now see a tsunami. Like, this
Right.
threat is over. So there's no need to panic, to think about that. That was something that at the time we needed to worry about. But
This is Woodland.
has since
Video
yeah.
passed.
from Woodland.
Here's the video that we were trying to get from Woodland. Thank you, Sharon, for sending this in. She says, this was my upstairs window, and you can see the shades rocking there. I got the earthquake warning on my phone and felt
okay.
it for several minutes. That's what she said. No serious damage, luckily. But yeah, thank you, Sharon, for sending
And
that in to
a
us.
quick shout out to Sharon. Sharon is a longtime ABC 10 viewer. Met her many times. She's awesome. She sends in weather photos all the time.
Great.
She would go to our coffee meetups. So the fact that she took this video and sent it to us to let us know, hey, this is what happened in Woodland. Sharon, we appreciate you.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And
we're glad you're
Sharon.
okay.
That's amazing with the warning system. And she said she felt it for a couple of minutes. And again, another good sell to have the warning system on your phone.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Shake Alert. If you
Yeah.
don't have the Shake Alert
Absolutely.
app, get the Shake Alert app. If you don't have emergency alerts, the WIAs, right, the wireless emergency alerts turned on for your phone, make sure those are turned on. I know they go off at night sometimes and they're annoying and they wake you up. I've been woken up by a Shake Alert.
Yeah.
That was, for Humboldt County and really had no meaning for me here in Sacramento. But it's important, right? Sometimes they matter, and sometimes they are here at home. In the case of the tsunami, if God forbid, we had a large wave move into the Bay Area, that would have gone up
Yes.
the Sacramento River, and we
Absolutely.
could have seen some tsunami influence even somewhere, along the Sacramento riverfront. So you got to take it seriously, right? We got lucky this time where there's no major impacts, but that doesn't mean that the next time will be just as lucky.
There's a little meet up there in Pacifica with the 3 gentlemen walking along there saying, hey, I heard the coast is clear. What do you say we throw the fishing poles back in at the pier? I'm guessing that's probably some type of a discussion that was going on a little bit earlier.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to mention too is we've been looking at, obviously X, we've been looking at social media, we've been getting, video in from viewers, but knowing where to get your correct information from as well. So obviously California OES, really good information on their X page as well, just updating it, minute by minute about what people need to know.
That's
And-
what they do. This is
Yeah.
this
Yes,
is
this is
their
So
moment.
people-
Their bread
yeah,
and butter.
Exactly.
And USGS, the U.S. Geological Survey, also a terrific source of information. That's where I've been pulling most of the info. Speaking of USGS, they are going to have a presser coming up at 12:30, and we will carry that right here on ABC 10 and ABC 10 Plus, so stay tuned. Again, the USGS presser on the earthquake and tsunami coming up at 12:30. That is in just about 11 minutes time. So.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we are still flying. This is our sister station KGO out of the Bay Area, and they've been up top for quite a while now. We've seen people who either were surfing through this or got back into the water, but the traffic to the left, extremely barren, and I believe what you see is some law enforcement. If we get in there a little bit closer, my guess is that was some type of a traffic stop there / roadblock, and that's exactly what it is. And it looks like, Jordan, it's still in place, maybe erring on the side or abundance of caution here, but obviously those are roads that are heavily traveled along the beach.
Virtually
and there's
no one on
nothing.
them. Yeah.
There's nothing going on right now.
And to Rob's point, the Tsunami Warning Center was saying if we had a tsunami, the waves would be in the San Francisco area at 12:10. It's only 12:20, like you suggested, out of an abundance of caution. They may just be waiting for 10, 15 minutes to pass from that estimated arrival time of the tsunami waves. We know that there's no destructive waves out there. Maybe there's a half a foot wave or something that's coming, but I mean, at this point, the destructive potential is gone from this tsunami warning, because the tsunami warning is canceled as well. So, again, just erring on the side of caution, better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're traveling along 80, probably in the Berkeley area as well, the traffic we were led to believe was being diverted or halted. So obviously there's going to be some residual issues if you're trying to get in and out.
People trying to get back in. It looked like both directions coming from San Francisco along I-80 and into the Oakland area. So on eastbound Interstate 80, we're looking like there was a lot of heavy traffic there. And also I was seeing a lot of heavy traffic in the westbound direction of I-80 as well in that same area.
So I've been looking at buoy data this whole time, and it's finally updated for about 18 miles off the Golden Gate. And we did see a little bit of a wave increase. At 10:10 a.m., it was 4.6 feet wave heights. By 10:40 a.m., it was 4.9 feet, and at 11:10 a.m., it was 4.9 feet as well. So, I mean, that's, a few inches that we've seen, but that's not much at all. In fact, it was higher even at 9:40 this morning when it was closer to 5 feet. So, there was no tsunami.
Right now, the slowdown before the Bay Bridge is 23 minutes. So, obviously, it's a little bit of traffic increase. I-80 westbound, 16 minutes slowdown. So that's what I'm seeing right now, slower than usual traffic right there. But obviously that was to be expected when we talked about the Gilman Street exit and Berkeley and all that, where those were areas that could have really been affected by any type of wave.
Yeah, so Brendan, can I ask, even though obviously it's been canceled, right, the tsunami warning, even though it might not be destructive, do we still have to worry about high tides, though, in the day to come?
No, it has nothing to do now with the tsunami and the earthquake.
Right.
So the answer to that is, in short, no.
Right.
This is tsunamis are not long-term events. When we get waves coming in, this is a matter of an hour to several hours, depending on if it's traversing the Pacific or not. In this case, the threat is over. There is no threat left to be had. There is no significant increase in wave heights. There is no destructive wave coming. So at this point, there are no longer any residual effects from the tsunami, Rob.
Okay, so the initial earthquake and the initial tsunami is over. There are aftershocks.
Yes.
A lot of people have questions about that, so let's go ahead and hear from USGS. This is Christine with USGS to talk about the threat of aftershocks and what happens next. While they're loading that up, you can clearly see that people are now taking back to the beach. They are heading out there because the threat is over. And now, again, USGS, this is Christine talking about aftershocks.
Right now, as of now, for the next week, we can expect a 6% chance or so for a magnitude 6 or larger. And as you go down to smaller magnitude, like 5 and above, the probability is closer to 40%. So, but the general concept is that earthquakes are expected following a large one, such as a 7, that's a major earthquake. They'll decrease in intensity and what people feel and in frequency over time.
And we've seen aftershocks already. Just at 12:12, 10 minutes ago, there was another 4.0 aftershock out off the coast of Cape Mendocino. So earthquakes are happening, aftershocks are happening, but it's rare that you would get one as large as the earthquake we had, and she said there was, only a fairly minor chance of a 6.0 or larger.
And they're very capable of getting the early warning out. USGS was right on top of it. You have to seek out official sources for stuff like this. I was on social media, and it was not a good place for good information. Literally, you watching us right now, we have the best information because we know where to look, and they've been very good. And they've been doing this for a while. If you remember, way back in the day, Dr. Lucy Jones was a geologist at Caltech, and she took to the TV screens right away after an earthquake in Southern California a long time ago with her toddler famously on her shoulder because she felt it was so important to get the correct information out as quickly as possible. That's what they've done, and that's what we're trying to do here.
And it's easy to find misinformation out there if you're not careful. I mean, even the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office was saying the tsunami warning was canceled when it was not. It was still very much in effect. So, I mean, it's just easy to find bad sources out there. So when you're on social media and events like this, even now with AI generative images, it can be so easy to get duped into thinking there's a wave or there's major earthquake damage when in fact there is none.
Yeah, and some of those government sources too on X, many of them have those gray check marks next to them, so you can kind of discern what is and what isn't an actual government account. So Cal OES, for example, has a gray check mark next to it, and they've been just releasing, obviously, really important, pertinent information throughout the entire process.
And shifting gears a little bit, I know we've got about 5 minutes or so until the presser, but Rob, you and I and Monica and Carly have done a lot of work on water supply here in California. And one of the things that officials always warn us about is the potential for massive earthquakes like this one. If this had happened, say, in the Delta or in the Bay Area or just down the coast. The water infrastructure is aging in some places, and it not only an earthquake could damage it, but if you were to get a large tsunami wave coming through the Bay Area, spilling into the Delta, that's a lot of saltwater intrusion. I mean, it could wipe out agriculture in parts of the Delta. It would taint the water supply. I mean, this is something that officials are warning about and prepared for, but sometimes you just get lucky, right? So far, it seems like there's not any major damage. So, I mean, this one, best case scenario. But again, I have to say, reiterating multiple times, just because nothing happened this time doesn't mean the next time will be just as lucky.
So what can you do to be better prepared? What's the official app from the state that you can download? It's free, where you can get an early warning. We literally got an early warning by about 5 minutes or so, which is good enough for me to get away from
the
blast.
tsunami.
Good enough for me to not go in the elevator. Good enough for me to tell the kids what to do if they're nearby. And that's something that is new. They've tested it, they've refined it, it works. And so where can people get that app?
The Shake Alert app. You download it on the App Store. Whatever app store you use, Shake Alert. Now, earthquakes, we don't get a huge lead time with those. It's usually 30, 45 seconds or so. But in terms of the tsunami, which we later found out, we did get 15, 20 minutes of lead time. I'm thinking about somewhere like Fort Bragg, which is pretty close to the epicenter, did have 10, 15 minutes of lead time before the tsunami waves may have been there had we seen it.
We're seeing people who are sort of returning to the coastline.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, it's like you're coming back to the coastline to see not a tsunami.
Yes.
What are you looking at? It's like, okay, now I guess we can come back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be here, and there you go. There's Rob again. And he clearly was waiting for the all call that it's okay to go back in. We saw a guy 20 minutes ago who was well out there during the entire time. There's no way he could have gotten out there after it was lifted. He was going to surf through it, and I'm guessing he didn't even know. I mean, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, unless you're wearing a super deluxe waterproof watch, you're not going to be getting alerts like that, like get out now.
Yeah, it's problematic. Cell phones don't work out when you're out in the water, right?
Yeah.
That's not your warning system. But I will tell you, this gentleman, hats off to you. I've surfed Ocean Beach before. It is a brutal paddle out. It's cold. He's going to be underwater for a lot of it. Hopefully he gets a good one and comes back in. Yeah, you better stretch, buddy, because that is a rough paddle out. I can tell you that.
He's going to want to clip
shot.
this video for the gram later, I think.
Right.
This is, so hats off to him.
He's also holding his surfboard the wrong way. You have to have the wax out. So
Listen now. We
There's things
just
going
wish,
on.
we wish we were out there today with a 2 mil suit. It's cold, right?
Yeah.
What thick suit are you going to wear for this?
We also have a soundbite here from a professor from Berkeley as well, if we have that queued up. Listen to this.
The earthquake early warning system was triggered for this earthquake. It did a great job. It worked exactly as it should have done. It estimated the maximum magnitude at magnitude 6.9, which is absolutely spot on as far as earthquake early warning is concerned. And so we're really excited that worked all properly. The alert did go out to people throughout Northern California and Oregon. Again, worked exactly as it should have done.
Okay.
All right. So we just heard from an early morning project scientist there. That was from UC Berkeley.
I just think that's the most amazing technology that's come along, and it works. It's not some experimental. At one point it was an idea, and then it was researched, and now it's a reality, and it's really helpful.